about the short run and the long run elasticity. All right, so let's check this out. So what is this short run elasticity first? So if we're talking about the short run elasticity, it pertains to where one factor of production, for example, the capital, is fixed, right? So it's short run. So this is a time period of fewer than 4 to 6 months, no? 4 to 6 months. Pag sinabi po natin short run period, tumatakbo lang to ng 4 hanggang 6 na buwan. So we can see prices and wages out of equilibrium. Example, there will be a sudden rise in demand and may lead to higher prices. But yung mga firms, they don't have the capacity to respond and increase their supply, right? Because of this short run elasticity. Now, the long run elasticity is where all factors of production of a firm are variable. No? For example, a firm can build a bigger factory and the time period of greater than 4 to 6 months, no? It will be up to 1 year. Okay? So, dito na yung sa short run and long run elasticity, we can find out saan bang mas maganda, no? Itong short run or the long run. Kasi pag long run, ibig sabihin, the firm can prepare, no? They are well prepared because it's not 4 or 6 months, it's 1 year, no? In terms of preparation. Pero dun sa short run, they only have 4 hanggang 6 months, no? So let's check the other data. Okay. Next is, all right, let's see this one. Short run versus the long run elasticity. Now, in long run, where all factors of production of the firm are variable, like building a bigger factory, a time period of greater than 4 to 6 months, no, that will be a year. Now, in terms of the long run elasticity, we have time to build bigger factory. Then yung firms, they can enter or leave the market. Next is the prices have time to adjust. Halimbawa, we may get a temporary surge in prices, but in the long run, the supply will increase to meet it. So the long run may be a period greater than 6 months to 1 year. Yun sinasabi ko kanina. Mas magandang long run. Now, in price elasticity of demand, it can vary, for example, over time. So the people may become more sensitive to price changes in the short run. So people keep buying a good they are used to. All right. So meaning to say, if we're going to analyze this short run and long run elasticity period, meron silang parehong advantages and disadvantages, no? Okay, so let's check the, all right, now, the short run versus long run once again. So, elasticities are often lower in the short run than in the long run. So, mas mababa ang elasticity sa short run kaysa sa long run, guys. So, changes that just aren't possible to make in a short amount of time are realistic over a longer time frame. So, yun is a long run. On the demand side, that can mean consumers buying a more fuel-efficient car to reduce their gas usage. And on the supply side, it means that producers have time to do things like build new factories and hire new workers. Alright, so medyo maganda na po itong uh, pinapaliwanag dito, no? Under short run versus long run elasticity. Now the next is ang susunod po nating tignan ito. Alright, so we have the short run again and the long run. Now, elasticity of demand in short run. So in the short run demand, it is likely to be more inelastic. So it's low, which equates to less than 1. So sa short run demand po, it's likely to be more inelastic, inelastic because there are few to none, no? Few to none substitute. If people are used to buying a good, then when the price goes up, they will tend to keep buying it out of habit. Alright? That is under the short run. However, when they realize the price rise is permanent, they will expend more energy and time in looking for alternatives. Yes, that's true. Therefore, over time, people are more likely to find alternatives and demand will fall more. Okay. So, tandaan po mabuti yung nangyayari na pinapaliwanag natin dito under short run. Okay? So, the elasticity of demand in the long run naman, if the price of a good is expensive for a considerable time period, consumers looking to save money will start trying to find alternatives. No? If the good takes a high percentage of disposable income, they may make large changes to their lifestyle. For example, if electricity increases in price, people will keep using electricity to heat their food. However, in the long term, the high price of electricity may encourage people to buy a gas cooker or a microwave. Alright, so that's under the elasticity of demand in the long run. Okay, so the explanations here are so good, alright? So we can clearly understand what is really happening here in our economy regarding this short run and long run. The next is, let's say this one. So the long-term and short-term supply elasticity, right? A moment ago we've discussed demand. Now it's supply elasticity. On the supply side of markets, producers of goods and services typically find it easier to expand production in the long run of several years rather than in the short run of a few months. No? After all, in the short run, it can be costly or difficult to build a new factory. No, sa short run yun, hire many new workers or open new stores. But over a year, over a few years, all of these things are possible sa long run. Okay? Sa long run po. Okay, so let's continue to our next data. Okay? So, pinapakita rito ng mga seller kanina na mas magandang araw yung long run, no? According to these sellers. Now, in terms of the supply elasticity referring to long-term and short-term supply elasticity, most markets for goods and services, no? Prices bounce up and down more than quantities in the short run. But quantities often move more than prices in the long run. So the underlying reason for this pattern is that the supply and demand are often inelastic in the short run. So always remember that in a short run, elasticity we call as inelastic, all right? So that shifts in either demand or supply can cause a relatively greater change in prices. But since supply and demand are more elastic in the long run movements in prices are more muted and quantity adjusts more easily. Alright, so dito nga pinapakita no, sa atin na pag sinabing long run, the what we call as the items are considered to be as having an elastic price, but in a short run it tends to be inelastic. Okay, so next, let's pull the last data so that we can understand this clearly. Okay, run versus long run. So we have categories here. We have fixed factors, returns to extra variable factor, return to scale, and the elasticity of supply. No? So we have short run and long run, right? So under short run, fixed factors, we have at least one factor. No? But in the long run, under fixed factor, we have no fixed factor input. Now, in terms of the returns to extra variable factor, under short run, we have increasing and decreasing. No? Increasing marginal cost is falling in terms of short run. If we're talking about increasing under the short run, the marginal cost is falling, right? We're talking about the cost of production here. But if it is decreasing, the marginal cost is rising, all right? But in the long run, it will not be relevant because there is an adjustment period for the long run elasticity. But in the short run, it either increase or decrease. So if it increases, the marginal cost is fallen. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, yung mga gastusin sa paggawa ng produkto ay bumababa. Right? Now, in terms of decreasing, no? Decreasing in terms of demand and or supply, the marginal cost is rising if decreasing here because the reason why the marginal cost is rising is because of the high prices of these raw material. That's why there is a decreasing, no, situation going on for what we call as supply and or demand. Now, in returns to scale, for short run, it's not relevant, but for long run, uh, in terms of increasing, the long run average cost is falling. All right. If the supply or demand is increasing, but in terms of decreasing under the long run average cost is rising. All right. So pag nagdi-decrease guys, no, tumataas yung average cost. Pero pag tumataas naman, no, bumababa yung average cost. So check that out under the long run elasticity. Now, in the elasticity of supply, uh, under the short run, may be low limited spare capacity and or the production time frame. Okay, under the short run. But in the long run, it's likely to be high as all factor inputs can be varied. Okay, so this pertains to the short run and the long run elasticity. Okay, so I hope that you understand the topics that we've discussed here. Any comments or suggestion, lagay nyo na lang sa baba ng video. And my channel and please ring the notification bell para ma-update kayo sa mga video na darating. So God bless us all. God bless the Philippines. Bye-bye.